Hello, everybody. Tracy Mrs. JDog Flanagan with you here today. I'm the co-founder and senior vice president at JDog Brands. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Tactical Treasures podcast, sponsored by the JDog Foundation. Our podcast gives veterans, male spouses, active military members, military family members, and patriotic military supporters a voice in the veteran space to speak about their service, how they're affecting their communities post-service, and they share with me a tactical treasure that has helped them in their journey in their military career, business, or life. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Lanny Snodgrass, who is a retired Lieutenant Colonel of the Army, doctor, and author. As an accomplished doctor receiving a BA, MS, and later a PhD in psychology, he furthered his studies and in 1980 received his MD from Autonomous University, followed by residency training at Meininger's and UCLA, and later was appointed assistant professor at UCLA and the University of Washington. As a respected authority on military mental health and a specialist in PTSD and military psychiatry, Dr. Snodgrass's scholarly contributions have been widely published in medical journals, and his insights shared through over 50 presentations at international conferences and symposia. Throughout his career, Dr. Snodgrass treated military personnel on foreign bases and veterans in VA hospitals and Army casualty hospitals, addressing PTSD, depression, suicide ideations, and other war-related afflictions. His military involvement began in 1970 when he accepted a psychologist position in Southeast Asia during the Vietnam War. His impressive career spans over 4 decades of experience treating military personnel, both active duty and veterans. In addition to his clinical work, Dr. Snodgrass is a sought-after speaker and consultant on military mental health issues. Hello, sir. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and thank you so much for your service to our country.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you here. So, what an amazing career! But I think that you originally started working for the DoD as a doctor. Is that correct, sir?
I really started with a veteran hospital in Los Angeles, and that was a hospital that was part of the affiliated medical center of UCLA
I
in
see.
1984.
Oh, wow. Okay. But you did something very interesting in the fact that you joined the Army at age 63. So I would love to hear what inspired you to join the Army.
Well, after seeing so many of the casualties of war, uh, young men, even older men, with chronic illnesses, invisible scars. I'm seeing invisible scars that are are just tormenting.
Hmm.
Depression, anxiety, um, just burdens of stress too heavy to bear. And after years of treating these military service members, uh, I felt like there was something missing. I felt a certain discomfort. I mean, I had crawled inside of these young men's souls. I had tried to have some empathy and grasp some of the torment, some of the demonic that they were feeling and dealing with, but I had never wore the uniform and joined that sacrosanct battle buddy, that great fraternity. That there's nothing like it in civilian life.
Right.
So this discomfort chased me through most of my career
Hmm.
until at age 63, I said, I'm joining up. Of course, by that time, I also had developed a heart condition and had skip beats and all of that. But I said, you know, I'll get the pacemaker later. Right now, this is priority for me.
Oh, wow. Wow. Um, amazing, and they accepted you, and I'm sure that being in uniform and joining the army, it possibly helped you have a semblance of what they were going through. It allowed you to
Well,
connect better.
it did. It absolutely did allow me to connect better. There was a certain identity that outside of the military you cannot endorse, you can't experience,
Hmm.
and you becoming part of that esprit de corps to me it closed the gap, and I just felt complete. I felt that I had finally arrived at where I should be, justifiably working with so many over the years who had borne the scars of service, self-service for our
Hmm.
country,
Yeah.
and I, as a civilian, although in a very important position in treating them of their wounds, I had to become part of that esprit de corps.
Right. Right.
Maybe
Um,
maybe I felt like a raw man. I don't know.
right.
That's one way to put it, perhaps.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
something, an element that was very incomplete but very important.
Right. Right. And so is there a particular aspect or moment of your service that was very impactful in a positive way for you?
Oh, well, there were several that were very important. Uh, yeah, helping them resolve the conflicts going on in their life, helping them find some way to grapple with their depression,
Mm,
their miserable feelings of emptiness, of not not being able to have purpose. And
sure.
one thing that I felt I was able to do for some of those who were in such dire straits with suicide thoughts, serious suicide thoughts, I felt I was able to impart something of hope.
Right.
If you can't give them hope, if you can't do that, there's nowhere to go.
Mm,
You must try your best with all of the empathy that God gave you, and you could ever um, it must you must try and provide some hope for this individual that doesn't see light at the end of the tunnel, and the only solution for them is the final solution,
right.
which is a horrible
It's
outcome.
awful.
I
Yeah.
mean, if most of these people that they did studies of the people that survived suicide, of the jumpers from the Golden Gate Bridge, about 578, and over 90% told the interviewers that they changed their mind on the way down.
Wow.
What we know about the amygdala, the portion of the mind that has to do with decision making and impulse control, if if they would have waited 30 minutes, the amygdala would reset and they would have never jumped.
Wow. That's very interesting.
So being instrumental at the right time, at the key time, can save lives.
Right. Right. Wow. Um, so I imagine, sir, that inspired you to write your book called "The Ageless Cause to Serve."
Yes,
Was that the inspiration, your
it
service
was.
and experience for the book?
Yes, it was the inspiration. I'm hoping to start a groundswell. I'm not, you know, so overly positive and grandiose about them going to change, all of this upper echelon in their minds and in their priorities of a reformation of the military. But I think if I can just bring a consciousness to the people
Hmm.
about age in the military, and we have not done anything about discussing in any serious way age limits for over 100 years. And I think that, we deprive people, the older people, of valuable skills and experience that they can offer as a resource to the military. And then I explore the psychological impact of sending teenagers into a war zone,
Mm,
which I think is a flawed decision. It's not that I, you know, oppose teenagers from joining the military. I think it's a very noble thing for them to do. We've thought that traditionally that's been our mantra.
hmm.
We
Yeah.
take pride in that, but there are a multitude of things they can do besides going into a combat zone at 18, 19, even 20 years old. Their prefrontal cortex is not mature
Mm.
until they're 25.
Yes, and I've heard that you know, there's a very delicate age there between, you know, 17 and 25 where, you know, you think they're adults, but they're really not fully developed as adults yet.
Well, and this is something that the recruiting objectives, we need to really examine the recruiting objectives and practices, the status quo. It's been, we need to sign up these young people, right after high school. And, well, what is the attractive? The attractive is they are considered to have virtual vitality.
Hmm.
They are considered to be fearless. And in the face of a command by their colonel or whoever is commanding that company to go in to this particular battle, knowing that ultimately it, it'll be total annihilation, they'll still do it. Is this a moral issue? I think it is.
Mm, yes. So your book basically it explores all of these things that we're talking about.
It does. It does. It delves into the neuroscience of resilience, the evolving nature of warfare, and the potential benefits of age diversity.
Hmm. Mm. And is this a book that for civilians, or is it more of a book, you know, for the armed forces and
It's been
governments?
written, yet it's been written that it is for the general population,
Hmm.
and that was the intention.
Right, right.
Now, military people of the upper echelon could, if they were interested, they could find some, I think, something there that they could grapple with and feel that was important. I do. I think they could.
Right.
But I think there's a lot of people who have general curiosity about the military,
Hmm.
and I think I have dealt with that curiosity and made some very transparent examples and cases that they will find a lot more understanding about our military history as well as what we have done in terms of making decisions about who goes into a war zone, for what purpose, and and who we allow to join the military. Or
Mm.
I could say who we don't allow to join the military.
Right, right. And your book, is it out now, sir? I understand it was to launch.
The
Uh,
book was the book was launched in London, England, in July.
okay,
It's published by Casemate out of London, England. Casemate is one of the prime publishers of American military history.
oh wow, okay,
Then, in right at the October or just the end of September, was when it was released in the States. So It's been a couple months.
Hello, viewers and listeners. Are you a military veteran or military family member and looking to own your own business? If so, go to jdog.com and check out our two veteran focused franchises, JDog Junk Removal and Hauling and JDog Carpet Cleaning and Floor Care. Our franchisees nationwide are always looking to hire fellow veterans and patriots. JDog is the world's largest military franchise system with hundreds of locations nationwide. We are nearly 90% veteran owned with the goal of reducing the veteran unemployment rate to under 1%. Check us out. Go to jdog.com to learn more. Now, back to the podcast. That's great. And so you do other work, sir. So you do guest speaking events, and what are they typically in academia or inspirational or motivational speaking?
Well, they've typically been in academia.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not involved very much in academia at this point. My speaking is primarily with podcast at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I am a consultant for the state of Washington, and I am an expert witness on personal injury cases. I still do that. I
Oh,
have a
wow.
case that I have tomorrow,
Mm.
uh, a deposition.
Wow,
So
exciting.
people say, well, why are you working at this age? Well, I have to keep the gears between my ears.
True, right. You got to keep them working, right? They say, as long as you're working and those gears are working, the brain is engaged and uh, wards off dementia, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Uh,
mind and body, they are not inseparable.
no, they are
There's so much
right,
connection in that whole matrix of health.
right, right. Okay, sir. So the podcast is called Tactical Treasures. So we come to the time where I would love to know what is your tactical treasure that has helped you in this journey called life or in your military career? Is there something that you would like to share with us today?
Well, I think a tactical treasure for me has been purpose for my life. It has been
Mm,
purpose, and because without purpose, if you found yourself in a vocation, in a profession where you really feel that it fits with your own persuasive emotion and that you have passion and purpose, um, life can be beautiful.
mm,
Um, and sometimes it takes a long time to find your way into that zone, that kind of synonymous, that place where you have energy that it's synergized and the energy fits and you can do so much with it. I would say for my own personal health, um, for a tactical treasure, coming home on many occasions over the years um, with some pretty stressful days, the hospital or at the clinic.
mm-hmm. Sure.
My tactical treasure for a reset was the piano. I could
Oh,
sit down at the piano and I could just take a pause and let my emotions tell me what to play. And I would play and I would displace that that energy, that tension into the music, into the keys. And at the end of 45 minutes, it was like my brain was in a sauna and I'm reset. All the tension's gone. I
that's
can't.
amazing.
Music for me has been a marvelous adjunct for my life and for my own joy as well as emotional well-being. It's been a stabilizing factor for my psyche. I think that everybody needs to have something other than their vocation or their job or their profession or the role they have to balance that psyche.
Yeah. I would
With
I would
hobbies, some people go to the garden, and
yeah.
they do gardening, and that's therapeutic, very
Mhm.
therapeutic.
Yeah.
I can sit at the piano and I can reach sometimes I can reach that level of altered state of consciousness where I have lost peripheral awareness, and I'm on a zone. I'm in endorphin heaven.
Mm.
It's a
That's
wonderful
great.
feeling.
I love
Not
it.
always can I do it, but it's
Yeah.
amazing when it happens.
Yeah. And you're right. Everybody needs an outlet, whatever that is, to that, it's all about being well-rounded. For me, it's dance. I've been doing dance, jazz, lyrical, ballet
Mm.
for 40 plus years, and you know that's my place to recharge and regenerate, and I just love it. It's a very important part of my life besides what I do here at JDog, and it's yeah, you're right. Everybody needs something, a hobby, a passion outside of whatever their job is. It kind of keeps you, like you say, balanced and well-rounded, right?
Keeps you centered and your emotions centered.
Hmm.
It
Yeah,
helps resilience a great deal as well.
right, right, definitely. Um, yeah, this has been amazing. So, I would ask you, sir, would you have any advice for fellow veterans who are struggling with transition or struggling for that sense of purpose? How would they navigate that space?
Well, many times those that are being discharged find the find it difficult to transfer that kind of discipline, energy, of accountability to something in the civilian life. Um, and many times they're ill prepared.
Mm,
They haven't given the thought about plan B because that's a pretty important transition to make. And you need to really be thinking about that in earnest 6 months at least before discharge
hmm.
and know how you're going to grapple with the details of getting yourself into a niche, into something that's going to be purposeful and meaningful for you, and build on that.
That's great
Those
advice.
individuals that are suffering from emotional pain, whatever it is, they really need to in, initiate that first contact with behavioral health and make an appointment with somebody to talk to. I know that the military has, over the years, had a horrible stigma attached to mental health.
Mm,
They've done quite a bit to try to lessen that and neutralize that. There's still more that needs to be done. I don't think bringing back a whole division or company from their deployment overseas and giving them a QA, question and answer, to fill out is a very valid way to screen those that really need to go see a mental health provider. At the point that they're filling that form out, they're ready for a lot of free time. You know what? I, do I really want to raise a red flag at this
mm,
point
yeah,
when I've got plans made for me and my sweetheart or my family or my wife, and we're going to be going here and going there? Do I want to interfere with that. However, if that person is having an interview with someone, uh, that's a whole different kind of screening process. I know,
Right.
we're talking about a great resource, but even a 5 minute one-to-one interview with a trained mental health professional
Hmm.
can do a whole lot more than that questionnaire.
Sure. There's a lot to be said for face to face and body language and all of that stuff, I'm sure, that could be determined in a 5 or 10 minute interview, you know?
Certain questions that they could elicit, and they have a feel.
Hmm.
The people that are trained, they have a feel for this
Sure.
and the hidden kind of agenda that someone may have.
Right. Right. Yeah. Great idea. Great advice. Great advice. So, Dr. Snodgrass, this has been amazing. I thank you so much for your time, for coming on. Um, Before you go, though, can you tell us where people can find and connect with you? Where can they find out how to purchase your book? Um,
They can connect with me through the ageless call to serve um, at gmail.com.
okay,
And the book I know is available at various bookstores. I guess the prime place that people go to is Amazon,
Amazon. Okay,
and there is a write up about the book there as well.
okay, that's great. That's awesome. Sir, again, thank you so much. This has been such an informative podcast. I really appreciate your time and thank you for sharing your story and your knowledge with us.
Thank you, and I feel very honored to be on this podcast. I appreciate it.
Hello, viewers and listeners. We've just finished up a very insightful and amazing conversation with Dr. Lanny Snodgrass, who is a retired Lieutenant Colonel of the Army, doctor, and author. With his groundbreaking book, The Ageless Call to Serve Rethinking Military Service for a Changing World, Dr. Snodgrass challenges outdated notions about age restrictions in the military and takes readers on a thought provoking and intimate exploration of military service and mental health. Through his own incredible journey of joining the U.S. Army at the age of 63, Dr. Snodgrass challenges conventional wisdom surrounding age norms in the military and sheds light on the often overlooked intersection between military service and mental well being. With a unique perspective as both a psychiatrist and a soldier, Dr. Snodgrass weaves together personal experiences, professional insights, and the stories of fellow service members to create a compelling narrative that forces us to question our preconceived notions about age, service, and the psychological impact of war. The book can now be found for purchase on Amazon.com or thriftbooks.com. It is also available digitally. To learn more, read an excerpt from the book, go to agelesscalltoservebook.com. And if you would like to reach out to Dr. Snodgrass personally, be sure to email him at agelesscalltoservebook@gmail.com. Again, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget you can find Tactical Treasures podcast on all your favorite podcast platforms, as well as Vet TV, American Grit, and our dedicated YouTube channel. We are also airing on Reach Across America Radio on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. And if you missed that, join us for the encore on Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern. You can also find Reach Across America Radio on the iHeartRadio app, the Odyssey app, and the TuneIn app. We are also proud to share that our JDog Foundation is a Reach Across America sponsorship group. For each $17 Veterans Wreath you sponsor, $5 goes directly back to the JDog Foundation, whose mission is to prevent veteran suicide and heal veterans' mental health and PTSD. You can donate right now at reachacrossamerica.org/JDog. Again, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again on another podcast real soon. Bye-bye now.